Hey guys, Corinne here. Now, if you've been trying to master your goals, but you're not really sure if you're accomplishing them, are you doing the right things you need to do, then it sounds like you might be having a goal tracking issue versus a goal setting issue, right? So today we're going to talk about tracking your goals, okay? So catch me in the video. Here we go. Hey there, my name is Corinne, and if you're new to the channel, then I help online service providers systemize and scale their business. So I work with a lot of bookkeepers and accountants, social media managers, OBMs, everyone who provides a online type service, right? So one thing that is very common around this time of the year is for setting some goals for your business of what you want to do to grow your business for 2024. This is what I would call sort of like a CEO type task. So in some of my other videos you might want to check out, I talk about the difference between CEO time versus employee time. So for CEO time, it's really important to take a look at what sort of goals you want to accomplish for the year. I like to break my goals up and just do quarterly sprints. It's kind of like following the 12 week year book if you've ever read it. Okay, so when it comes to tracking your goals and if you are on pace to hit the goal, right, there are certain things you can and you can't really track. Okay, so if you go back to the other videos we did in this series this month for December, we talked about the difference between setting a goal versus a project and a task. So when you set your goals, typically you don't have control over those goals. So let's just use a really simple one. As you may have seen, I've opened a new Shopify store where I'm selling a lot of templates and mini courses and swipe files and stuff, right? So let's say my goal for 2024 Q1 is to have 100 shop orders. So there's no way I can really go around and find 100 people and take them by the hand and bring them to my shop and make sure they purchase, right? That's not possible. But the things I can control are making sure there's plenty of products in the store. I can make sure that there are plenty of promotions that I'm promoting consistently on social media. If I were to flip this around for a service provider example, let's say your goal is you want to get 3 new clients in Q1, right? So again, same thing, unless you are going to go out, find those 3 people and then force them to sign, we have no control over that, right? But what you can have control over is doing your marketing, you're spending time to do marketing every day, making sure your onboarding system is super dialed in. Do you see this weird line? Making sure your onboarding system, this way. Making sure your onboarding system is really dialed in. Making sure that you have plenty of availability on your calendar for your scheduler to book you. Maybe you are going to send out 3 cold emails a day or 3 follow-ups a day. There's a lot of different actions or tasks that you do have control over in yourself that you can take and you can complete to make sure that you for what you can control with the goal. Okay, so today what we wanted to talk about, like I said, is tracking. So when you're tracking on if you're going to be on track to hit your goal, right, then you don't want to necessarily track, okay, how many clients have I gotten so far for Q1? Okay, 0. That's so disappointing, right? To see that number of if you're shooting for 3 and you've gotten 0, then that's really not going to be fulfilling, right? But if you say, okay, how am I doing with this goal? All right, I posted 3 times this week. Check. I have emailed 3 new people. Check. I have, dialed in my onboarding process. Check, right? That is a lot more motivating where you can see okay, I'm doing all the things that I need to do. This lighting is so horrible today, guys. I'm sorry. I'm doing all the things I need to do to make this happen, right? So at that point, once you have done everything you can control, it essentially becomes inevitable, right, that the goal will happen. Inevitable along with a little bit of higher power energy, right, of that the positive forces that will send you the things. So The way I like to keep track of goals is in either ClickUp, where I will just check off that I have done those actions, those activities. I will set up a separate section inside of ClickUp as my board. I'm gonna have to pause and move. Oh my gosh. Okay, round two. I will set up a separate space inside of ClickUp so I can map out all the activities I'm going to do for those 12 weeks, and then I can check them off, okay? And then every week, just like from the book, the 12-week year, you will do a sort of an accountability check-in along with your weekly planning of, okay, I had 7 tasks I needed to complete. Did I hit all 7? And if not, then you would give yourself a score, right? Maybe you got a score of 80% or something. So then when the end of the quarter comes and you're like, I didn't hit this goal, you'll be able to see, well, I only really gave it 80% of the effort. So of course I only made 80% of the goal. Another way you can track your tasks and your goals is right inside of Google Calendar. I pretty much live in Google Calendar, and I have my goals, like the things I have to get done. I will put them in right on my calendar of when I need to get them done. And then same thing, at the end of the week, when I come to my weekly planning time, I can just look back on my calendar and I can say, okay, 1, 2, 3, yes, I got those done. Now, what I will use is like little emojis on my calendar so I can identify those goal tasks really easily. And what I do is I color code my calendar so when I complete something, I turn it to gray. Okay. And that way I can really quickly see, like, did I get those done? Okay. Everything's in gray. Yes, I got all of this done. And then I can see my scorecard is 3 out of 3. I got 100%. So another way you could do this is if you turn these little micro steps that you need to do into habits. So if we're still going along with the same example of I want to get 3 new service clients for Q1, instead of maybe breaking it up to 3, I'm going to message 3 people a week. Maybe you turn it into a habit where I'm going to message 3 people a day, and then you're going for a daily habit, or message 1 person a day and go for a daily habit. Personally, I think doing a daily habit is easier, because if I'm trying to fit in the time to, let's just say that if I'm going to break this up into, I'm going to message 3 people a week, I have that task, right? I know myself well enough that task is going to, like, that little hour block is going to move all over the place in my calendar. And then all of a sudden it will probably become Friday afternoon where I'm like, oh, I have to finally do this. So if I just sort of make this super easy, where it's just 15 minutes, message 1 person a day, that is going to be such an easier lift for me than trying to block out time to do all of these messages on one day. So I would say if you know yourself well enough that you're like that, then I would put it on as a daily thing you're going to do, like the daily messaging or daily posting. And then in that case, you can use either, you could use a ClickUp board, like a ClickUp space or a list for that, or you could put it on your calendar and you could have it be a task in Google Calendar where it clicks it off as being completed today, or go with the same color coded thing I talked about. Part of this is really just knowing yourself and knowing what are you going to need to do to sort of trick yourself into getting your task completed. And then having the accountability to go back through and say, did I do the work? And if you didn't, you have to be honest with yourself about what do you need to do to make sure you do the work next week. Tracking, I feel like, is really more of an accountability check-in to make sure that you are not just, making a bunch of goals and not following through with them. So it's a little bit of like the tough love part of like goal setting, right? So that's it for me today. Let me know, which way are you going to do it? Are you going to track your activities in your Google Calendar and check every week to see if you completed them? Or are you going to track everything in ClickUp and then you'll check each week at the end of the week to see what you completed and give yourself a score? I'd be curious to hear which way you're going to do it. And if this video was helpful, please make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever it is so that you can be notified for my future videos about simplifying and scaling your service-based business. I'll see you around next time.